Title: The icy breath on the glass. Darkness was a heavy cloak over Samuel's room. Outside, the rain lashed furiously against the windowpane, creating a monotonous rhythm that, instead of lulling him to sleep, kept him in a state of constant alert. He was 7 years old and possessed an overflowing imagination, a dangerous cocktail on nights like these. His parents, oblivious to his growing anxiety, slept soundly on the other side of the hallway. Samuel tossed and turned beneath the sheets, unable to fall asleep. The window, normally a portal to the outside world, had transformed into a blurry screen, a canvas fogged by moisture and cold. It was in this nebulous void that his mind began to play tricks on him. At first, it was just a shadow, a dark smudge that hinted at itself on the glass. Samuel blinked, thinking it was a product of his tiredness. But the smudge remained, slowly taking shape, acquiring diffuse contours. It was as if someone were pressing their face against the window, leaving a spectral imprint in the condensation. Fear began to grip his chest. He sat up in bed, his heart pounding. The figure in the window became sharper. It was a face, yes, but a distorted, grotesque face. The eyes, sunken in deep sockets, seemed to watch him with a disturbing intensity. The mouth, slightly open, suggested a grimace of pain or perhaps anticipation. Samuel held his breath. He couldn't scream, he couldn't move. He was paralyzed by terror. The silhouette began to move, sliding slowly down the glass, as if gravity had no effect on it. It left behind a blurred trail, a ghostly path in the condensation. Then he heard it. A whisper, barely audible above the murmur of the rain, but clear enough to chill his blood. It came from outside, from the darkness that lurked beyond the window. It was a child's voice, high-pitched and squeaky, that seemed to crawl along the glass. "I want to play with you." Samuel covered his ears with his hands, closing his eyes tightly. The voice persisted, penetrating his mind like an icy needle. "I want to play with you. Samuel." His name. The creature knew his name. He opened his eyes wide. The face in the window was closer, now only inches from the glass. He could distinguish the horrible details, the pale and translucent skin, the dark veins that pulsed beneath the surface, the cracked and bluish lips. The eyes, fixed on him, glowed with a sickly light. The voice, now louder, resonated in the room. "Open to me. I'm cold." Samuel shook his head, desperate. He couldn't open the window, he couldn't let that thing in. He knew, deep down, that if he did, nothing would ever be the same. The creature began to tap gently on the glass, with insistent touches that echoed in the silence of the night. Each tap was like a funeral heartbeat, bringing him closer to madness. "Please. I just want to play." Samuel closed his eyes again, praying that it was all a nightmare, a horrible hallucination produced by his imagination. But the image of the face in the window remained etched in his mind, as real and tangible as the cold he felt in the room. Suddenly, the taps ceased. The silence became even denser, more oppressive. Samuel opened his eyes cautiously. The window was empty. The condensation had dissipated, revealing the dark garden bathed in rain. Was it gone? Had it all been a dream? Samuel took a deep breath, trying to calm his heart. He got out of bed, trembling, and went to the window. He wanted to make sure that the creature was really gone. He placed his hand on the cold glass, feeling the rain's dew on his fingers. Then, he saw it. It wasn't in the garden. It was right behind him. In the reflection of the glass, he could see the figure standing in the darkness of his room. It was small, almost his size. It wore tattered and dirty clothes, and its face was the same as he had seen in the window, but now clearer, more real. The creature smiled, revealing a row of sharp, yellowed teeth. "I found you!" Samuel screamed. The next morning, Samuel's parents found him in his bed, trembling and sweating. He told them about the face in the window, about the voice that called him, about the creature that wanted to play with him. But they didn't believe him. They said he had had a nightmare, a bad dream produced by his imagination. Samuel knew that wasn't true. During the following days, he lived with the constant fear that the creature would return. He checked the window every night, making sure it was locked. He slept with the light on and with the door of his room ajar, hoping that his parents would hear him if he needed help. But the creature didn't return. At least, not in the same way. He began to hear whispers in the house, barely audible voices that called him by his name. He saw shadows that moved in the corner of his eye, figures that disappeared when he turned to look at them. He felt a constant presence around him, a feeling of being watched that made him feel uncomfortable and anxious. One afternoon, while he was playing in the garden, he found a doll buried under a tree. It was an old doll, with a disfigured face and tangled hair. It had a note tied to its neck, written in a shaky handwriting. "Let's play together." Samuel threw the doll to the ground, terrified. He ran back to the house, screaming for his parents. But they didn't pay attention to him. They said he was exaggerating, that he needed to let his imagination run wild. Samuel felt alone and abandoned. No one believed him, no one understood him. He was trapped in a world of terror that only he could see. One night, while he was sleeping, he felt someone watching him. He opened his eyes and saw the creature standing next to his bed. It was smaller than before, almost the size of a doll. But its eyes still shone with the same sickly light. "You're not scared anymore, are you, Samuel?" Samuel tried to scream, but he couldn't make a sound. The creature jumped on him, clinging to his chest with its small, bony hands. It began to suck his breath, slowly, extracting his life and his energy. Samuel felt himself weakening, his body becoming light and empty. He saw how the creature grew, absorbing his essence. In a few minutes, Samuel stopped breathing. The next morning, Samuel's parents found him dead in his bed. They thought he had died of a heart attack, or perhaps an aneurysm. They didn't understand what had happened. But in the corner of the room, sitting on the floor, was the creature. Now it was the same height as Samuel, and its face looked more and more like his. It smiled, with a childish and mischievous smile. "Now I can play forever." And it left the room, ready to find a new victim, a new friend to play with. The house, now silent and empty, held a dark and terrible secret, a secret that would never be revealed. The face in the window had found a new home, a new body to inhabit. And the cycle of terror would continue, again and again, until the end of time.